I use a notepad, sticky pad. Hey everybody, so just want to share something new that I've been asked many times. For those who doesn't know, I been helping a couple startups and brand on how to come up with a marketing strategy that works. So typically what I've been asked to do is to come up with a breakthrough idea, an idea that has not yet tried before, because with today A/B testing, fast moving digital marketing, most of brand has tried pretty much a lot of stuff, and they usually get pretty frustrated with the result, especially during the last holidays busy season. Implement couple of the idea that I come up during the meetings with them, and I want to kind of share with you how can I come up with those breakthrough idea, and probably helping you to get those if for you that looking for ways to try something new. So in 2018 I always kind of try to share my idea and figure out. So when I typically start it is that I use a notepad, sticky pad, colorful. And what I do the first time, with the help of the brand owner or my customers, my client, we together brainstorming by putting an idea in a small sticky notes. Whatever come to our head, we come to our mind, we can just put it on a piece of paper. And what happened is that we just put it out there and collect them. And once we are done and there's no more new idea gathered, we assemble those idea into into a path like box like that in the background. And what we do here is step back. Sometimes we come back the next day and literally what I call the assembly and prioritize process. So we took all of those idea and assemble it in a matters that what we need to do first, and stuff that we don't need it right away, we move it to the next box. So the focus is to just taking all this blank canvas and to start to come up with a cohesive step by step on how to get started. And finally, as soon as we get something that we can execute it, we execute it. And we put a measurement. So what we do is that literally taking all of this information and break it up into smaller chunk, and that way we can execute it right away. And once we do this thing, we constantly revisit back to the drawing board and see if we have to move the task accordingly. So yeah, definitely start it and then use this technique. If you need more information, please ask me in a comment and I can go in detail. I probably can do a webinar and show you step by step on how to do this. The goal for it today is just show you that there's a way to come up with a breakthrough idea. I read in my research to come up with a breakthrough idea, I read this book called Iconoclast, which I'm going to review soon. Basically what I want to do is, before I close this video, is that I want to share you advice and also takeaway that you can use. So I'm gonna give you advice or tips, 5 tips to get started on this. Number 1, be patient. Sometimes we are trying to rush things to come up with a result. Be willing to work with the unknown, and willing to put an idea that it might be it's silly at the beginning, but over time you just don't need to judge it. You just put it on a piece of paper and just let it out there. Second thing is that this is kind of similar to patient, but use time as your friend. Let it brew for a while. If the problem is too big and it's too complicated, sometimes you need to take 1 to 2 days. Come back the next day. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So make sure that you have the time to do this. And also once you have an idea, try to find the simplest way to execute it. Some of the idea could be like really, some of this, the ads idea and placement idea and so forth can be really complicated, but you can ask yourself, how can I make it the simplest? We call it the minimum viable solution or minimum viable products, how we can get there. And finally, always be skeptic of the result. Don't get too caught up with the result, especially when you get started, because over time you need to get more time before you can concluded that this works or doesn't. So be skeptic, but also remember, be kind to yourself. If you could, try to separate yourself from the solution, from the result. As long as you keep on experimenting, I think you will be improving this over time. And don't expect, and finally, don't expect huge changes. What you do is that you do a small success day by day, but over time it can be add up to a big number. For you, if you're willing to do this thing, I can give you kind of my takeaway that you can implement it and help you kind of come up with this idea. Number one, train your brain. Don't wait until last minute. I mean, to be creative, you have to kind of train like a muscle. Creative is similar to muscle, so you're gonna take a brain. I found, for example, traveling, it's to a new place or new country will help your brain to think differently. Second, don't trust your perception. Perception sometimes looks like the reality, but it's actually just perception. Always test it. We call it A/B testing, or also known as think about what's impossible and try to do it. And you will surprise majority of what you worry about, what you fear, what you think is impossible is actually pretty possible. And also, stress is real, and learn how to manage it. I do it by physically I do a lot of walking, and every day I walk. And finally, I also especially when I deal with a big problem, I try to kind of break those big problem into smaller one, so mentally and I can handle it. Please leave a comment and ask me question. I will try to answer it as much as I could. We have come up with so many new ideas for 2018, and I cannot wait to share the result of those things. And for those people who are interested, just let me know. I can show you step by step on how to do this over call or something. All right? Hopefully you enjoy it, and please don't forget to subscribe and comment. All right. Thank you for your time, and looking forward to talk to you soon. Thanks. Goodbye.